Hello and welcome to another Cheeky Scientist News Show. I'm Isaiah. Today's top story is nearly half of job seekers say their job search negatively impacts their mental health. Now, what I like about this article is it gives data in terms of what is the most stressful part of the job search. And we're going to talk about today how to overcome these stressful parts. We're also going to talk about how to show employers you're a great fit for the role. It's so easy to dive into the weeds, targeting a resume, and forget about the central arguments that we have to make to get hired. Why are you the best fit for the job over someone else? And why do you want to work there over any other option? You don't just want any job, you want that specific job. But first, why is the job search so challenging? What do other people say? So this is a great article. It's in I-95 Business. The number one cause for stress is waiting to hear back from an employer after applying or interviewing. 55.3%. Now, a great way to eliminate that stress point, if you're talking to an employer, having any sort of real-time interaction, interview or otherwise, always ask when you can expect to hear back. What they're going to tell you is something broad, a couple of weeks, or we're still interviewing candidates, or we'll get back to you. Do not leave it at that. Say, thank you, I really appreciate it. I'm in the middle of a very active job search. I like to stay organized. If I don't hear back from you in 2 weeks and a couple of days on March 1st, would it be okay to contact you then? They're going to say yes. Normally they'll say yes. There are going to be some outliers that might say no, but normally they'll say yes. When they do, don't leave it at that either. Say, what is the best phone number to call? If they push back hard and make you send an email, that's fine. But just by getting permission to reach out to them at that time, they'll expect it. You'll have a date, so you're not just sitting in purgatory forever. It will reduce that stress. Now, number two is a big drop all the way down to 38.8%, getting rejected by an employer. So again, as human beings, we hate uncertainty. Most of us would rather live in unhappiness rather than deal with uncertainty, which is why, right, this is shocking. The thing that causes us the most stress is waiting to hear back on whether or not we're rejected. And it's actually less stressful to be rejected. Not a little bit. We go from 55.3% for waiting to hear back to 38.8% in terms of those who responded saying getting rejected is the most stressful part. After that, it's finding the right jobs to apply to. This was shocking to me, 37.6%, essentially a statistical tie with number two. Not knowing what jobs are right for you. And this is why everybody's approach today, most people's approach today, especially those of us coming out of higher education, if you haven't had a job in industry or getting a new job after a while, or maybe you've been laid off, either way, this causes a lot of stress because we're trying to do a job posting-centric job search, a job title-centric job search. Let me scroll through, see what jobs are available, apply to it. I can't find anything. Well, 80% of the jobs that are available are never posted online. Of those that are posted, up to half are ghost job listings. We've talked about ghost job listings a lot on this show. Real companies posting jobs that don't actually exist. That's a high stress recipe. So have a company-centric job search approach. We'll talk more about that. Experiencing age discrimination as an older job seeker was way up there too, 36.1%. Interviewing in itself was 24.4%. And then we get down to filling out applications, applying for jobs, negotiating negotiating salary, networking, and then experiencing age discrimination as a younger job seeker, right? So whether you're old or young, we all have these concerns, and that's what causes us stress. But if you know how to deal with these factors, if you do the upfront work, which is a little bit more acute stress, you can avoid that chronic stress of just waiting to hear back, not knowing what to expect, right? Knowing what to expect, setting our expectations can alleviate a lot of that stress. Now, if you thought the job market was rigged against you, you're right. Okay, it's a tough job market. This was recently posted by Jack Kelly in Forbes. And the article is, if you thought the job search was rigged against you, here's why you're not wrong. Okay? Clever title that basically means, look, there's a lot of problems. Number one, posting fake job listings. Up to half the jobs that are posted do not exist. There's a lot of reasons for this. There's new equal opportunity employment laws that require a lot of states to post jobs for months, even if they filled the job internally, especially if it's a publicly traded company. A lot of companies are posting jobs just in case to collect resumes. We're always open. We're always looking. They're feeding their own AI with it. They're collecting competitive intelligence. In some cases, they're just faking growth, right? They don't want their stocks to go down. You're not going to see a publicly traded company out there that totally stops posting. Even during a hiring freeze that the media finds out about, they'll still keep posting jobs. Figure that out. What's the answer to that? Fake job listings, ghost job listings, unfair advantages, bait and switch tactics. You want to avoid these things. Now, you still want to get out there. You still want to get hired. Just recognize what kind of job market that we're in, and there's a bit more leverage on the employer side. So How do you gain leverage back? Well, the number one way to gain leverage back is to show that you're a great fit for the role. Okay, this is a Harvard Business Review article by Neha Parashar, and it's how to show you're a good fit during an interview, right? So we want to make sure we're nailing those two central arguments, that you're the best candidate for the job or you can be over someone else, and you want to have this argument and you want to nail it on the resume, the cover letter, LinkedIn profile, and then the interview, right? And so how do you do that? And how do you show them the second part of the argument, which is that you really want to work at that company? They're your top choice for XYZ reasons. Multiple companies can be your top choice for different reasons. Everybody wins in the market somewhere. So find out what those are and tie them to, as it says here, the organizational values. Why do you want to be a part of that company's culture? And especially when you're speaking directly to the hiring manager whose job it is to protect company culture. Why do you want to stand behind their values? Why do you want to serve, right, their overall culture, be a part of it? Not that, hey, you're aligned with my values, but I want to serve the culture that you've built here. I want to be a part of that, part of the team. I want to stand behind these. I want to live and operate under these values. It says, number 2, learn about the goals and show how you can contribute. Do you know what they're trying to achieve? What's the mission of the position? What's the mission of the overall company? You want to stand behind that mission. You want to serve their products, their services. What are they producing? What are the price points of what they're producing? Who are their clients? You got to find that information out and then understand how they communicate. It gives a great example of how Johnson & Johnson doesn't talk about a mission statement, but a credo. Just saying, I want to be a part of the credo versus the mission statement here when you're interviewing or using the word credo on a resume, on LinkedIn, on a cover letter, right? This will put you ahead of other job candidates and show that you're a great fit. Another great Harvard Business Review article that just came out by Marlo Lyons, 5 ways to prepare for situational interview questions. Most questions now are going to be situational. A lot of times we obsess, if we're coming out of higher education, with the technical questions, the niche questions. Right? These questions, even if they are a bit technical or niche, they're going to involve a business problem that likely has no solution. Right? So it talks about this. It talks about using a proven format. We've talked about this on the show recently, not just the STAR technique, situation, task, action, result. This talks about the START technique, situation, task, action, result, and takeaways. Right? So always kind of bridging the gap, future pacing them. What did you learn from a previous experience and how are you going to bring it to this company? And then this talks again about CARL, context, action, result, and learning. Action, result, that's just the problem. What was the problem that you had? You'll think on your feet better if you go right to the problem that you had, and you're not afraid to talk about that problem and what was the result, what's the lesson you learned, and how you're going to bring that lesson to the company. That's what this talks about. Follow the 2-minute rule. I love that they put this in the HBR article. After 2 minutes, stop talking, right? Does that answer your question? Don't let them weaponize silence against you by staying quiet where you just ramble, okay? So great article there. We're going to move over to Interview Corner, even though we've been talking about interviewing. This is a 2-part series I really like. It's in a niche article. Working strategies, top 10 interview mistakes to avoid. I'm just going to give you these fast and furious. It's from a very high-level HR professional, Amy Lindgren. Mistake number 1, right? The obvious things, not dressing well, etc. She gets those out of the way. Mistake number 2, not asking for the details when scheduling the interview. You can ask questions. Who's going to be interviewing me? How many interviews? What kind of questions are you going to ask? You get to ask those questions. Will I be presenting? Right? Ask as many questions as you can. They'll tell you if they don't want to give you an answer to something. Number 3, scheduling too tightly. Don't have back-to-back interviews. Don't have a meeting and have to rush to the interview either. Seems simple, but a lot of people do this. Number 4, not researching the organization and competitors. They're going to say, who are our competitors? What does our competitive landscape look like? Very common question now. Not preparing a strategy at all. Do you have an interview packet with you? Did you write down a list of questions, 20 to 30, not 2 or 3? Did you write a list of reasons why you're the best fit for the job? Did you write a list of reasons why you really want to work at that company? If not, you're unprepared. Okay, it's open book. Bring an interview packet. This goes right into number 6, going empty-handed into in-person interviews. Not only should you have that interview packet, but have a notepad, right? Have pencils, have some sort of folio, something that shows that you're professional. It's called the briefcase technique for a reason. It shows you as a high-level professional, you're more likely to get hired just by bringing materials with you. Seeming disorganized goes hand in hand with the last 2. Not greeting everyone there, especially if it's a panel interview. Don't leave somebody out. Even if they're not asking questions, pay attention to them. Say all of their names. Not managing your cell phone, not listening to the question before answering. Don't jump in. Give a 1-second pause. I'm going on to part 2, mistake number 11. Not tying your answers to the job at hand. Again, skip the one-size-fits-all answers. Make it very specific to the job, and this means you have to have done your research. Number 12, not reading the room. Plowing ahead with a long answer while your interviewer right? Slides under the table or stops paying attention. Be sensitive. If they're paying attention to you, stop, right? Ask for feedback, go in a different direction. Speaking badly about others. Never talk about your past toxic work environment, for example. Presenting solutions instead of options. This is crucial, and I'm really glad that it was brought up. I think this is the best mistake to highlight in this two-part series. You don't want to tell them how to do their job. We talked about how you're going to have situational questions where they're going to ask you, okay, we have this problem in the company right now. You have these resources. What would you do? That's a situational question. You think you want to come in and give them the right answer. No, they're studying your problem-solving process. They're studying, would you involve other people? Would you present options? Not, well, clearly the answer is X, Y, Z. They don't want to see that. Same thing when you actually start a job. They don't want you to hit the ground running. They want you to go through a period of deep observation to learn from them, right? You don't know what's already been tried at this organization, so avoid giving concrete answers to hypothetical questions, right? Instead, you want to say, depending on what's been tried already, I might do X, Y, Z or A, B, C. Or here's two different options depending on what's been tried already. Or I would meet with key stakeholders to figure out what's been tried already. And then given their answers, if they said this, I would go this direction. If they said this, I might go this direction. Mistake number 16, I love this too, not playing to win. You are there to win the role. You are there to beat out other job candidates, and they want to see that you want to beat it. Are you showing enthusiasm, engagement? I want this job. I will do better than anybody else. I'll do whatever it takes. Or are you just kind of dipping your toes in? Is this right for me? Maybe I won't like this job. Don't do that. Go after it. Not mailing a thank you card when it's possible. The highest percentages I've seen in any study on how to increase your chances of getting the job offer after getting an interview always comes down to a physical card, the thing that nobody does, because it shows a certain type of person that'll go above and beyond and do that. I mean, in today's world, even sending an email is a big deal. If you send a physical card, you put yourself ahead of everybody else. You're likely the only person that'll send a physical card. Today's Don't Forget article is, will an executive recruiter find a job for me? Okay, 3 recruitment models and how to leverage relationships. I love this article because it talks about, and it's in Forbes, Gina Riley. A lot of people have questions about, are recruiters going to help me get hired, right? Will they take a percentage of my salary, et cetera? Think of recruiters as agents. If you are a high-performance athlete in the majors, you're in the C-suite at a Global 1000 company, you're a vice president, certainly somebody has extensive experience with some big brands behind you, it's very likely you'll get an agent. One of these recruiters is going to want to work with you, okay? And there's different types that I'll go into here in a minute. But if you're just starting out, if you're in entry-level, mid-level, don't waste your time thinking that these recruiters are going to come save you from the job search and do the work for you. It doesn't work that way. Retained executive search recruiters, right? This is the dream that a lot of us have. There's going to be this recruiter that finds me. They're going to work on my behalf and put me in touch. A lot of us will be contacted by recruiters or, executive search recruiters or just regular search recruiters, people who are sourcing, people who are looking. They're using AI typically on LinkedIn to reach out. You might think it's an actual person reaching out to you. It's not. That person owns AI on LinkedIn that will reach out to thousands of people a day, even using stuff on your LinkedIn profile to make it seem like a human is typing the message. It's not. It's AI that's reaching out. It'll send you a link to Calendly or some other scheduler to maybe even schedule an interview, right? And then if you schedule that, maybe somebody will show up, but they probably haven't done actually any research on you as a human yet until you schedule that interview. So just always be willing to do your due diligence. Go to the recruiter's page. See if they actually work at the company. See if they work at any firm. Make sure it's not somebody who's scamming you, obviously. And then reach out and talk to them. Ask them some questions. Make sure it's not AI, right? Make sure it's not a bot responding to you. Happy to reach out. Could we get on the phone and talk for a few minutes? Or I have some time today. What's the best phone number to call? I can talk to you about this role. Right? There's not a recruiter out there that's going to be like, whoa, slow down. Recruiters are fast, right? They want things happening in seconds. So if you ask them to reach out to you, to call you, right, it'll be really your best way to figure out whether or not that's a bot that's going to respond to you or not. It's the best way to actually just have a conversation, say, who do you help? What kind of positions have you filled before? And what do you think you can do for me given my background? This takes us to the end of today's news show. As always, stay current and keep advancing in your career.